The machine was older than memory. It stood in the center of the gray plains, a monolith of obsidian and shifting silver light, humming a note that was felt in the bones, not the air. The Cthar, a people of intricate logic and profound connection to the flow of energy, had spent generations trying to commune with it. They called it the heart of the world, believing it held the secrets of creation itself. Their greatest minds, the resonators, would approach the seamless structure. They would extend their slender, six-fingered hands, channeling complex harmonies of thought, light, and magnetic fields. The machine's response was always the same: a brief, intensified hum, a flicker of light, and then a gentle but firm repulsive force that pushed the seeker back, unharmed but unacknowledged. It was a perfect, impenetrable lock. "It requires a key we do not possess," concluded High Resonator Kalen, his large, opalescent eyes dim with millennial-old resignation. "Our logic is insufficient. Our energy signatures, no matter how pure, are rejected. The heart does not wish to be opened." A young resonator named Lyra watched from the edge of the plains, her own spirit aching with a quiet rebellion. "Or perhaps," she whispered to the wind, "it is waiting for a different kind of key." That different kind of key fell from the sky 3 cycles later. It was a vessel of crude, angular metal, trailing fire and screaming through the atmosphere in a way that offended the Cthara's silent world. It crashed beyond the gray plains, in the whispering jungles where the trees sang with bioluminescent choirs. The Cthar investigation team found a single survivor. The creature was a chaotic bundle of contradictions, bipedal and top-heavy, swaddled in torn, synthetic hide. Its skin was a patchwork of pink and tan, its face a canvas of strange, mobile features. It was leaking a red fluid from a gash on its forehead and was making guttural, distressed sounds. It called itself human. Its name was Eris. He was an engineer, a scout. His ship, he explained through a translator that spat and crackled, had suffered a catastrophic failure. He was alone. The Cthar, governed by a code of non-harm, brought him to their crystalline city. They healed his wound with beams of soft light, fascinated and slightly repulsed by the messiness of his biology. They saw him as a curiosity, a primitive, chaotic thing. They certainly did not connect him to the ancient, perfect machine. Eris, however, was endlessly curious. He recovered with a speed they found alarming. He marveled at their floating cities, their silent energy bridges. He tried to mimic their graceful, gliding walk, resulting in a series of clumsy, stumbling gaits that some of the younger Cthar found secretly amusing. He learned of the machine. "It rejects all," Lyra explained to him, her thought voice a gentle chime in his mind. She had been assigned as his caretaker. "It is a perfect system. We believe it is testing for a perfection we cannot achieve." "Perfection?" Eris grunted, fiddling with a piece of scrap, wire he'd salvaged from his wreck. He was constantly building little, pointless trinkets. "Nothing's perfect. Everything's got a flaw, a backdoor, a loose wire. That's just physics." Lyra didn't understand. Their entire society was built on the pursuit of perfect resonance, perfect harmony. Driven by an instinct he couldn't explain, Eris begged to see it. Reluctantly, Kalen agreed. Perhaps the ultimate rejection of this chaotic being would finally extinguish the foolish hope that still flickered in some of their hearts, like Lyra's. They took him to the gray plains. The machine loomed, a shard of absolute order in the twilight. Eris didn't approach it with reverence or prepared harmonic. He just walked right up to it, his boots crunching on the gray gravel, his breathing a loud, rhythmic puff in profound silence. "Fascinating," he mumbled, circling the base. "No seams, no controls, no user manual." He reached out with his grimy, calloused hand. "Do not." Kalen's thought voice was a sharp, warning lance. "The repulsion field will harm you." But Eris's hand didn't stop. It wasn't channeling energy. It wasn't attempting to resonate. He was just touching it. His fingers, still stained with engine grease and his own dried blood, made contact with the obsidian surface. The Cthar braced with a repulsive force for the human to be thrown back. It didn't happen. The deep, constant hum of the machine stuttered. The shifting silver light on its surface froze, then coalesced into a single, focused point where his fingers met the stone. A sound emerged, not a hum, but a clear, single chime that hung in the air like a physical thing. Then a voice, ancient and vast, spoke not in their minds, but aloud, in a language of pure mathematics and base physics that Eris's translators struggled to parse. But his engineer's soul understood instinctively. Query. State purpose. Eris, startled, yanked his hand back. The light dimmed. The connection was broken. Silence returned, deeper and more profound than before. The Cthar were frozen, their logical minds shattered. They had tried for generations with perfect harmony. This chaotic, imperfect, biological thing had simply touched it, and it had spoken. What did you do? Kalen whispered, his thought voice trembling. I don't know, Eris stammered, staring at his own hand as if it belonged to a stranger. I just touched it. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes blazing with a terrifying, wonderful hope. You did not try to commune with it as a superior. You touched it as an equal, as another machine. The truth dawned on them. The Cthar had been approaching the machine as supplicants to a god, trying to impress it with their refinement. They had been trying to sing to a lock. Eris had simply reached out and turned the key. He had touched it with a hand that built and repaired. A hand that was stained with the evidence of labor and accident. A hand that was not a conduit for pure energy, but a tool for manipulating a flawed physical reality. The machine wasn't looking for perfection. It was looking for a maker, a mechanic. It's not a heart, Eris said, understanding blooming on his face. It's an engine, a broken one. He approached the machine again, this time with a different intent. He placed both hands on it, closing his eyes. He wasn't trying to communicate. He was diagnosing. He felt the hum not as a song, but as a vibration. He traced the paths of light, not as art, but as circuitry. Query. State purpose. The voice came again, softer this time. Maintenance, Eris said aloud, his voice steady. I am here for maintenance. A seam appeared in the previously flawless obsidian. A doorway, irising open with a sigh of ancient hydraulics. Inside was not a chamber of light, but a cavern of machinery, vast and incomprehensible, pulsing with a rhythmic beat. Conduits the size of trees glowed with a faint, sickly light. One in the center was dark and cracked. The Cthar watched from the threshold, awestruck and humbled. They had spent eons admiring the cathedral, while the human had seen the faulty furnace in its basement. Eris spent the next 3 days inside the machine. He didn't use their beams of light or harmonic tools. He used a hydro spanner from his crash kit, a length of superconductive wire he'd salvaged, and his own relentless, pragmatic ingenuity. He talked the machine as he worked, not in poetry, but in a technician's grumbling monologue. Okay, see, this coupling is shot. No wonder your primary rhythm is off. Let's bypass this. Run a jumper here. Gotta reroute the plasma flow. Lyra stayed by the entrance, watching him. He was covered in grime and sweat, his movements sure and confident. He wasn't a resonator. He was a physician, performing surgery on a dying giant. Finally, with a final, solid clunk and a shower of sparks that made the Cthar flinch, a new sound emerged from the machine. It was a deep, strong, steady thrum, like the heartbeat of a world. The sickly glow in the conduits brightened to a brilliant, healthy blue. The light on the exterior shifted from silver to a warm, golden radiance. The machine was healed. Eris stumbled out, exhausted, collapsing into a sitting position on the ground. He looked up at the Cthar, who were staring at him, their faces a mosaic of awe and shame. It was a fail-safe, he explained, wiping grease from his face. A core regulator was failing. It was shutting down non-essential systems, including external communication, to preserve core integrity. It was waiting for someone who could read the problem not as a song, but as a schematic. Kalen, the high resonator, slowly knelt before Eris, a gesture of profound respect they reserved only for the most sacred of things. We saw a god, Kalen thought, his voice thick with emotion. You saw a patient. The golden light from the machine began to spread, washing over the gray plains. Where it touched, the gray gravel sprouted fields of vibrant, crystalline flora that chimed softly in the breeze. The world itself was waking up. The Cthar had been rejected because they offered only perfect, sterile worship. The human had been accepted because he offered imperfect, messy help. He had not tried to sing to the machine. He had listened to its pain, and with mechanic's touch, he had given a reason to sing for itself.